Coming up to the stage now, two people that have delivered a character that is probably one of the coolest villains of Star Wars history. They have been here at Planet Comicon before. They were here in 2011, and now they get to graduate to the big stage with all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Bullock and Daniel Logan. I know the program says that this is a focus on the bounty hunters. What would the villains be without the good guy? And you may be wondering about the chair here. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Mayhew.
Hey, you might have been with Han Solo, but you're still in the Star Wars family, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Did you see that big role you got when you came out here?
Yep. See?
She almost started crying. She was so happy. She was like,
Oh, where?
I was like, where was my happiness when I came out?
Yeah. You're a little bit young for happiness.
How do we get the Wookiee back? Who brought him back? He's gone.
Public demand.
I've got to think of something else. Slave 2.
Oh no, not Slave 2?
Slave 2.
Slave 2, the Wookiee.
No, the Falcon is Slave 3.
Could you imagine what kind of conversations they had when they're on set together? Look what we talk about. This is what we talk about.
Yeah, we didn't discuss the script. That's why it was a little bit screwed up. You get Harrison doing Jeremy's lines and Jeremy doing Harrison's lines. So, but fortunately they matched. So whichever way you've shot it, it was always the mouth was always working properly, whatever, and the editor was certain to make sure that everything worked properly. So that's my story.
That's when you do the Obama and you just drop the mic.
Yep.
So let me ask, because this is going to be a question that burns everybody's brain here for a little bit. What was it like? You talk about making sure that the suit works. What was it like putting that suit on again after so much time?
No different. There was no real difference because the suit was made for me. Consequently, we go open the cabin trunk, take the boots out, take the costume out, and put it on, and it fits. No problem.
So it was just like you'd done it yesterday.
Yeah.
Just like that old pair of shoes you have in your closet,
it is,
you know?
It is.
Yeah. Pull them back on, slip them back on, and...
Give you a story. We're both on A New Hope and Empire. We'd sit in the green room talking to Harrison or Alec or whoever it was. The AD would say, right, let's get dressed, which meant put the head on. And so put the head on, got up, went out on set, did what we had to do. And usually it took 2 or 3 times, but we did occasionally get through once. And we come back, and I could take the head off and still do the conversation that I was having before we even started this thing. And I thought, there's something strange about this. But when it happened again on Empire, I thought, this is weird. And it happened again on 3, and it happened again on 7. So what the is going on? I don't know. But, it was a remarkable thing, and I was very, very fortunate to, first of all, get a little bit in 3, which was not very nice. And then this director came along and said, well, We're going to do 7. Oh, do you want me? Well, we would like to see you and see what you can do. This was JJ. So we go up and talk to him. And at that particular time, I just had knee surgery, double knee surgery. That is why the chair and everything else. And I said, right, I'll make you a deal. I will do as much as I can. You can fill in the rest. I could do the close-ups and everything else. It's only the run and the walking and the movement that we will do. And he said, right, okay, sign the contract. And we did what we could do. And I think there's only a few people in the business that realize what was going on, because my substitute was pretty good. We had two stand-ins. One was Ian White, who did The Predator, and the other guy was, I forget his name, but a well-known stuntman of my size. So on a long shot, you could see a Chewie running. It wasn't me, but it was him. And then when you have a long shot, it all, from that up to that, it always makes it look good.
Now, I understand they studied your movements in order to make sure that all of the Chewbacca performance was seamless throughout the whole thing. How close did they get? You said they were pretty good. Did they really nail it, or were there some things where you saw and kind of? Did you ever give them advice?
Remember, most of the stuff, it was only the battle scenes and the ice scenes that were actually done. All the other stuff was done in studio. So all you ever saw was me sitting in a cockpit. So, and they got using the original mask. It was as good as anything that they tried making it and it wouldn't work. So they went back and used the original mask, and with the original mask at sort of waist level, you could get away with it without too much problems. Yeah.
How'd you feel when your master died? I get that question all the time. How'd I feel when my dad get his head chopped off? So I figured, your master's died too, so I can ask a question like that now too. I heard you raw.
You have the answer. I don't. My name is Darth Vader. Where's the old man? Oh, there he is.
I was just saying, could you repeat all that again? I was not listening.
See what kind of life I've been given? It's amazing. I love Star Wars so much.
It's a wonder this kid is alive at the moment. He gets into so much trouble.
Me? No.
Yeah, you. And usually it's the older...
You don't mean to tell our secrets, Pete.
It's usually the old editions, the older people that you come to and talk to.
Yeah. Actually,
for advice.
Yeah. Actually, to tell you the truth, this is actually on a serious note. I love them both like uncles, but at individual times, we all had troubles and things we've gone through in our lives. And to tell you the truth, one of the blessings I've had at Star Wars is actually having these two guys to be able to actually talk to about some personal things, and both of them giving me amazing advice. Pete, I love him. He will sit down and he'll go through everything. He tells me exactly who I am, how I am, and what I'm doing. I'm like, I know.
It's experience.
It is, right?
And you only learn that by being there and doing it. You learn it, and as you get older, you learn more, and you learn to say no.
Yeah, that's what I do.
End of story. Right. Next question. Have they all gone home?
Here's what we're going to do before it gets too
They're
far
rolling
into this.
on.
Yeah.
There is a microphone
We bored them to death.
for questions, if you have questions for any of these gentlemen up here, if you wanted to get in the line there, and we will start with Mr. Finn here.
Hey, I had a quick question about a common fan theory online that Boba Fett was the one who killed Aunt May and Uncle Ben. The main reason why Darth Vader says, "No disintegrations." I was wondering if I could get your opinion on that matter.
No disintegration. No palpitations. You're next on my list. Now ask a proper question or you're off the stage.
Okay, then my second question would be if you guys have seen the epic rap battles of history on YouTube. They actually did Boba Fett versus Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Yeah.
I think Deadpool did better. I'm sorry.
That's
You
why
gotta
I
go
asked.
rewatch it.
That's why I asked.
Deadpool has all the cool lines, though.
I
You
kind of
know?
do have to agree. You do have the rocket. That is the benefit of being, Boba Fett relative to Deadpool.
I guess so. I actually just watched that for the first time the other day. I thought it was awesome.
Now, one thing I do need to point out, we are not going to be asking Peter any questions about Episode 8 or Rogue One. Just because. You can ask Daniel, you can ask Jeremy about Episode 8. They can talk all day about Episode 8. Yes.
Daniel, my question is for you. What was it like to play a character who'd already been on screen, but was an older version of your character?
Yeah, that's so weird. I was just in the green room with this guy, Paul. He's like, "Oh, so what are you doing here?" I'm like, signing autographs. But he asked me, he's like, "Oh, so who do you play?" I'm like, "Oh, I play Boba Fett." So he's like, "Well, who's that guy?" I was like, "Oh, he's Boba Fett." He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, yeah, they did the original, so he was the original guy. And then they rebought me back in the new ones to play as the little boy version." So he's sitting there going, okay, like all confused about it. I'd never seen Star Wars before I got in the movie. I had no idea of what the franchise was or, anything at all about it. Walking into it, I had only a few bits of Jeremy's work that I could go on to learn who this character is and what I could base my acting abilities upon. It wasn't until Celebration 2, when I went to Celebration 2, I had these 8 big bodyguards that surrounded me, and no one was allowed to touch me, take a picture of me, or even like breathe or near me. And that's when I realized, once meeting Jeremy, like, wow, this character's huge. Like he's got a very big following. And then my ADHD kicked in, and I'd go to conventions, and I would just be wandering around all the convention halls, like talking to people or looking through booths and stuff. And Jeremy had come back. He's like, "Where you been?" I'm like, "Oh, just wandering around." He's like, "Well, people have been waiting for you. Like, you got to sit there at the table, And then he told me how to be at the conventions. So, yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better character, I tell you. But it was all imagination, man. The one thing about being a child is that you have that freedom of being able to use your imagination and people not judging you. But yeah, that's
Awesome, thank you.
thank you.
My question is, Jeremy, would you be interested in being any of the new movies?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I'd be interested. Because I'm Boba Fett.
Jeremy actually was in episode 3 also.
Yeah, played Captain Colton.
Yep.
If I understand, remember.
He was a pilot.
No, I mean, I'll be serious for only 2 seconds, but I think I was terribly lucky. I fitted the costume. I mean, because your face is covered, anybody could have got underneath that, apart from Pete. But you could have had, a tall Boba Fett, and the film would be over because he'd be so dangerous, he'll just get rid of everybody. But I'm, really excited about the new film, The Force Awakens. Terrific. And now we wait for the next one. I'll be 806 by the time. The episode I was thinking, yes, I could do that as well. I think we've all been very lucky and have had a terrific time.
So with the animated stuff, I know Daniel, you talk about playing Boba Fett in that a little bit. Has anybody talked to you about Rebels yet?
No one has, and I don't think, suddenly someone will say, "Oh, I hear you're doing this." And I said, "No, you can't have heard I've done this because I haven't done it." Sorry, that doesn't sound English at all, does it? No. But I'm, as I said, really thrilled to bits that the new film's come out and people haven't scathed it because they love to do that. They said, "Oh, the new film is a load of rubbish." Well, it isn't. It's a terrific thing, and the music, again, isn't it exciting? The music.
The music is fabulous.
Oh,
I think
Didn't
there's
Peter
I
and-
think there's a couple of people in the room that like The Force Awakens. Maybe?
I like the movie, but to pure honesty, I think Chewie and Han made the movie. And then when Han got, if anyone hasn't seen it, sorry. but,
Spoilers.
when Han gets killed at the end, we're all like, no! You heard the whole entire movie theater, like all their dreams just went down the drain, I'm like, I was meant to kill him. I would have killed him way better. I would have sliced him up in half and fed him to the Sarlacc pit. He ain't crawling out of that baby.
I've just heard on the news the Evening Standard that he gets out of the whip. Sorry.
The
no.
tip?
Yeah, the tip.
I flew in here and I said, the only tips that good is the cow tipping. You can tell we're in Kansas City, right? Now, about the Clone Wars, I actually got that off a blessing. I used to go around every convention I could see Dave Filoni at, and I'd try and buy his lunch, buy his dinner. He doesn't drink, so I couldn't buy him any alcohol. So I get this call, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to come reprise your role, be in the Clone Wars." I'm like, "Oh, man, that's so sweet. This is legit. After all that greasing up and trying to bribe this man, he finally gave me a job." He's like, when I see him, I'm like, "Thanks so much, Dave. Like, I really needed this." And he's like, "No, actually, I didn't give you the job. George Lucas actually walked into the storyboard room, said, 'I want Boba Fett in the Clone Wars, call Daniel Logan.'" I'm like, that's like God calling you to heaven twice. You know what I mean? It's like, why at me? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure, I'll do it. That's how I got the Clone Wars. And purely, just George gave me a second break, and he thought that I could do the Clone Wars. But we actually did 2 seasons of Boba Fett, doing all these different kind of activities I can't really talk about in case it is released. But we're basically, they said that unless they get more funding or Disney wants to put the money into it, they're not going to release those episodes.
So there are still episodes of the Clone Wars that we still haven't seen. We got, I think, 6 to 10 that they released on Netflix.
Well, we had like 6 or 10 of just Boba Fett. And there was a lot of people that were meant to be killed, and bounties that were meant to happen, and stories that we were meant to find out. And I recorded them all, and they had all the roughs, so I got to see all the rough work of it all. But yeah. I'm a rough kind of guy. I grew up in New Zealand, on an island. Had to survive for quite a while in the outback. Oh, no, that's the wrong country.
Yes, sir.
It is amazing that Boba Fett had very few lines. He didn't have to say much, but I can remember the first day filming, and I had to say, "Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold." And on the day I was there, and they said, "Right, stand by. Jeremy, okay?" I said, "Fine." On goes the helmet, comes up and said, "Put Captain Cargo in the Solo." How can you do that? I have 3, 5 lines maybe, and completely cock one of them up. I mean, it's dreadful. I felt embarrassed. I thought I was going to be thrown off the set. But you can't hear what I'm saying. I'm going boom, 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 boom.
You're like, "George, is that okay?" He's like, "Great, we got it, Jeremy." You're like, "No, I think I messed the lines up." He's like, "No, we got it, we got it."
But you do make mistakes, something that's tiny, a couple of lines, then you can do Shakespeare.
What the?
No,
That was a baby Chewie voice.
Please come up. No, please come up and say that.
It sounded more like a baby Boba.
Aww. Well, then what about Grandpa Fett?
He's outside.
This
All
is
right,
not fair.
let's
isn't it?
do a next question over here.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
sorry.
All right. My
We
question
don't have fun with our lives. Sorry.
You're all right. I just have a quick question for you guys. How was it like to be a part of one of the biggest selling franchises of all time?
I'm very proud. No, to be part of.
It sort of grew on you. Obviously, no, that's how. As you when you start a thing, it's basically this franchise was a B movie, right? And it grew and grew and grew because it was good. People wanted to see something different, and at that particular moment, there was sex and violence around on the British screen and on the American screen. So you needed something to have that you could take a family to, kids, parents, and grandparents, so that there was no blood or very little blood. The bullets were non-existent, and they killed all the rest of them off. So and with Empire coming along, it was like being in or returning to a college after vacation. You all went back, and all the crew was basically the same because you'd worked with them before, and everybody knew the story by then because all the characters had been introduced. Therefore, it made it a lot easier to do Empire. I don't say it's easier, but the locations were slightly different because we were up in Norway for the Hoss scenes, and boy, it was that cold. It was about minus 20 degrees. So
But for a Wookiee, you can be furry,
for a
can't
Wookiee,
you? It's
for
all
a
right.
Wookiee, he got very cold and wet. So,
And I understand that there was one point where you and Harrison Ford were out in the snow for a scene, and George Lucas didn't think that you were snowy enough.
Yep. We're out in the middle of nowhere. We're going to we're shooting the probe droid. And suddenly, we're preparing for it. George and Gary come up and says, you're not really snowy enough. Would you mind rolling in the snow? Yes, boss. You're paying the checks. We'll do it. So both of us got on our knees, rolled over, and you see the pictures at my table. That was a classic Chewie moment in the snow. We got the snow. We got the shot, and I went back to. We got a hut where everybody used to. There weren't that many people, but the people used to change into costume. My costume has a zip down the back. We took the head off, undid the zip, and it dropped my costume, which was mohair with yak hair through it. It's like pulling a cat out of a washing machine onto the floor, clunk. It looked like 25 pounds of dirty, nasty laundry. So I stepped out of it. Unfortunately, I had taken some clean clothes and dry clothes up and changed, and the costume got taken back to the hotel where we were staying and put in a tumble dryer, and it was all ready on parade for next day. So it was an interesting situation, which I do not wish to be involved with ever again.
Thanks so much. Yes.
All right. So there are like girls who do like weird, sexy Boba Fett cosplays with like strategic armor. How do you guys feel about that? Does it like weird you out or?
There's like risque costumes. Mainly women will wear like scary costumes.
I'm all for that. I think it's great.
Dirty Grandpa. Dirty Grandpa Fett.
You know,
I don't like it.
It's like supporting the Labour Party or the Conservatives, and I think that is something that should go forward to our next speeches.
I'm the biggest weirdo, though. I have the robe. So whenever I come out of the shower, I have the robe on, and then I just, you ready? Boba Fett's here. A little too much information? Sorry, guys. Sorry.
And you ought to see,
I think you ought to say that again.
and you ought to see where his lightsaber comes from.
Oh, I say, yeah. Here's Boba. Rode along my little blaster. Pew, pew. Oh, did I really go there?
I do apologize, ladies
It
and
was her
gentlemen.
question that started it all.
Yeah.
Disgraceful behavior.
We're blaming it on her.
We'll make sure that the culprits will be thrown out of this theater.
Oh, I got one more thing to say about that question. So, Ahsoka, Ashley, she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I'm doing my clothing line, da-da-da." I'm like, "Why don't you do a panty set that says, I have a Boba fetish?" She was like, "That's a great idea." I lifted at that, right? Next minute, I'm getting all these things on my Instagram and Facebook like, "Oh, Daniel, what do you think about these?" You know, boom. I'm like, oh, no like. But,
They wouldn't
yeah.
suit you anyway.
Well, not for me, but the pictures I get, I'm like, that was a great idea, Daniel. What a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's 4:30. I understand that Peter has another obligation someplace else, so we're going to wish him well off the stage, and he's
Ladies and
on
gentlemen,
his
you've
way.
been
Ladies and
terrific.
gentlemen, Peter Mayhew.
You've been
Okay.
terrific.
So Peter's about to leave us?
Yep.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you. Now is the winter of discontent. Make glorious summer, the summer blood of for and end. And that's why I didn't get the part, because I
Goodbye.
actually realized. Yes.
Goodbye, Peter.
Let's try it again. See, Pete, where are you going?
See you, Pete.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a good day.
No, you don't catch it. It's.
Sorry. I'm out of here.
Youngsters
Is that
these
it?
days, yeah?
Is that it?
No, you guys can stay.
Oh.
I should do a Peter on you guys. Peace.
All right, next question here, yes.
You guys have done a lot of these conventions, and I just wanted to ask, what are your favorite fan moments? What are your favorite things that the fans have done for you?
Well, the most extraordinary one is when someone came up and said, "Look at this," and pulled her dress up to my knee, and then she tattooed it, or someone tattooed it for her, and then you saw this sizzling flesh going on, and it's amazing. I mean, brilliant artwork, but that's what people are going for tattoos at the moment. So if any of you got tattoos, they are very expensive. Fet tattoos, they're called, and we're gonna carry on. Daniel, we're gonna open a shop.
Yeah, actually, I actually tattooed the Mandalorian skull on someone's shin. I was at Celebration in Europe, and they're like, "Hey, do you mind tattooing later after the convention?" I'm like, "Yes, who wants me to ink them?" And yeah, this guy asked me if I could do a tattoo of the Mandalorian crest, and I did it. It came out pretty good, too. For my first tattoo, I was pretty impressed.
You've got a tattoo.
I don't have a single tattoo, no, not yet. All my brothers and my sisters, they all have tattoos, and I'm the only one out of all 6 of us that has none. Mainly because my grandma never had a tattoo. But I don't know, I think I might lose my tattoo virginity and get one this year. I'm not too sure.
Oh, I think you should, if you're going to play Boba Fett. I mean, you never know, you might be asked. You've got to have the Boba Fett tattoo.
Well, my brothers have all the tribal. One has a New Zealand tribal, and the other one has a Samoan tribal. And they're basically New Zealand tattoos. Well, I was thinking, because I'm creative, I wanted to do something a little different, and I wanted to do animals, native animals to my country. So I wanted to do an owl, a ram, and maybe some kind of exotic fish animal or a lizard or something. So I want to get a big one. I don't know.
That's good, yeah, I understand. Right.
Now, Jeremy, do Do you have a tattoo?
And this
No,
is where
I
you give me my
don't,
advice.
no, I don't have a tattoo and wouldn't not because of anything. Oh, it's a bit silly and it's, if I had to get a part and I had a tattoo here, they spend all the time trying to cover it up if you're working on a certain project. So I wouldn't. I'd think about it and think, yeah, it looks pretty good, but not for me.
Yeah, and also you kind of get to the point where you're like, that looked nice today, but in 3 years you're like, would I want the same poster on my wall for 5 years, Well, when you got ADHD, you want to change it around all the time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My question is, what were your careers like after the Star Wars movies and TV shows and stuff?
Interesting question. What were our careers like after the Star Wars film? They stayed exactly the same. A lot of saying, we'd like to, that play you said you would do, would you do it? And I immediately said yes. This is years ago. But that's a good question, because sometimes people say, we can't use him, he's going to be too expensive because he's been offered a part in Star Wars 3 and we can't do this. So the thing is to take it as a job and just carry on, and then you fight your way through. It's a terrific profession to be in, but dangerous. So get started now.
So the guy who played our father in the movie, Jango Fett, Timothy Morrison, he explained a career like this. He said, son, one day you're in the newspaper, the next day you're fishing chips.
Yeah, it's true.
One day you're in the front of the paper, and the next minute you're just oil being left on the paper and forgotten about, But with Star Wars, we could have been in any other franchise or any other movie really in the world and then been forgotten about. But the fact that we got this one gig on this one movie called Star Wars, it has allowed us to live on forever. And it's also allowed us to be able to travel the world, be able to meet wonderful people, and have the opportunities that we had. Because if it wasn't for the story of Star Wars, I don't know where my career would have been. I'd probably still be
What
mowing
would have
lawns in New Zealand.
happened? You'd have ended up meeting these lovely people here.
And they would have thought I was a weirdo because I talk far too much. But the only reason they put up with me because I got Boba Fett attached to me.
Yeah. No, but Boba Fett is an amazing character because he's nasty, but he's not. I know that sounds ridiculous. That's terribly badly pronounced. No.
Oh, he's nasty, all right.
He's nasty, and you haven't seen that, and hopefully they will see part of that scene in the new film.
Yeah, maybe.
Really?
Speaking of which, we know that there's going to be a young Han Solo movie, and there's rumors that Boba Fett will be involved in that. For a while, we were hearing that Tom Hardy might be playing Boba Fett, but it turns out he's going to be playing a stormtrooper in 8. Is there anybody out there, an actor that you're aware of, that you would prefer to see be the next Boba Fett? Depending on the age and the timeline, who do you have anybody in mind that you think would fit that part?
Well, funny enough, I would say Daniel. I mean, because I'm too old. I think he would do it, and let's hope you do.
I do it in a heartbeat. I just don't stay still long enough for me to be Boba Fett again, I think. Boba Fett was really good with the way he moved, looked, and me, I'd come in and be like, oh, you ready? I'm going to kill Han Solo. Okay, you ready? Blaster, set, ready.
You see?
Where did that guy come from, I've been training with Ray Park a little too much, I think.
All right, Jeremy, your turn.
Yes!
You do that again, it's finished. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask that actually because technically, I was sitting there the other day thinking, these guys kind of got robbed, with the way that George Lucas wanted to do his arcs, where he went 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, sorry, and then 1, 2, 3. But technically, asking the question right now, like about Boba Fett, Jeremy should have been him in episode 8. You know, because we all should have got to see the return of the Sarlacc pit, right? And that's what we all were waiting for in the last one, hopefully. But if they would have done it all in the line like they should have, like you know, it should have been 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Technically, Jeremy would have been Boba Fett. But because it took so long for him to come back, you know, and then do 1, 2, 3, we grow, you know, and we age. And that's the hard part. But I was going to say to Peter and Jeremy, like, don't you think sometimes you kind of got, you know, a little robbed in some aspects? Because if they would have continued it in the line that they were doing it, Boba Fett does survive the Sarlacc pit, and it should have been Jeremy. You know what I mean?
Well, that's very kind of you to say that.
Well, I just think weird things sometimes, you know, and I think if they would have continued it like the way they should have, I would not have had a job, but...
Speaks weird things, yes, you're not wrong there. Sorry, the gentleman over there with the hat on. Well, I think it's a hat.
If you guys haven't been to Jeremy's table, I just want to let you guys know, he is the most sweetheart, most gentle guy you will ever meet. He actually makes me look bad because, not talking about his age or anything, but he stands at the table the whole time. I don't know if you guys have ever witnessed it or gone past his table, but he does not go back and sit. He stands and he eyeline talks to you the whole entire time. And like, people ask me all the time, like, oh, you're so nice. Like, why are you so nice? I'm like, I learned it from Jeremy. You know? Like, that's the truth.
Sometimes you've got to be bad as well.
I always get caught, though. That's the only problem.
Yeah, sorry, there was a question there. We interrupted. Sorry.
Yes, my question for you guys would be, out of everything that you've done with acting in the Star Wars flicks, what's the one thing that stands out to you two?
No.
The thing that stands out the most is people and the way that they embrace this character, Boba Fett. Like last night, I went to this bar that you have to have reservations to go into. Don't ever go, kids. It's bad for you. But I went, and the lady's like, sorry, you have to have reservations. So she went downstairs to the table that had absolutely no more space on the table and asked, hey, you guys have an extra person? So the person replies, well, that was young Boba Fett. And the lady was like, what? Next minute she came up like, oh, nice to meet you, you know, come on in. I'm like, well, what happened to the reservation, you know? Like, Daniel Logan would not have got in this place, but Boba Fett gets in anyway, you know?
It's always worth it, you know, to just say, I'm Boba Fett, by the way. I don't know if that's going to help us get into the... Any chance at all, you know, because, you know, I was Boba Fett for quite I used to lose my lines a bit, but it doesn't matter. Still get a meal, won't I? It does go through. Am I talking about? Sorry. Yes. Superman and Supergirl.
She doesn't want to ask us the question anymore.
Next question.
She's done.
What was your immediate reaction to knowing that you got a role in Star Wars?
Your immediate reaction to knowing you got a role in Star Wars. I would imagine.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I got Star Wars! Yeah, but you can't tell anybody. What do you mean? You can't tell anybody. I can't tell anybody? It was at my prime, too, when I was just going into high school. I could have used that as my pickup line on all the girls, you know? Like, I'm not anything now, but I'm gonna be someone in the future. You just wait and see.
By the way, I'm Boba Fett.
I would imagine that the impact of getting the job would be completely different because for you, I mean, we just had the one movie and now we're doing Empire and you happen to fit the suit. That's the story that you tell. And for you, Daniel, it's now there's this legacy behind not only behind the character, but you know just the whole Star Wars thing
Hang on,
itself.
can we go back real quick to the question about the Boba Fett character? So I actually became one of the biggest fans of Star Wars, especially Boba Fett. Like just what he's done for me in my life, I love him and Star Wars. But someone asked me that question, like, oh, would you want to reprise the role if he got out of the Sarlacc pit? And I said, well, technically, the way that the movie is now gone, it should be Jango Fett, if he's in the older version, right? Because Boba Fett was a human, and then they made him a clone of Jango Fett, right? after all these years, he's changed around from different identities to different races to different things. But now, if the line went how it should be, it should actually transfer back to Jango Fett, right?
So you're saying the next person to play an older Boba would be Tamora?
Would be more pushing towards the Temuera Morrison look.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah, if anyone, I'd love to be in the. Just trying to put it out there.
Next question, yes. Anyone?
No more questions.
Oh, hang on, we got one more. Where's the young man who just came up here?
If it helps your questions here, I am Boba Fett.
Straight up.
Thank you for clarifying.
What is nice to have your suit to sign all the time when they only gave me a little blue jumpsuit.
Blue?
So when I got to film the movie Star Wars, right? They open up a book and they show me Jeremy's character, Boba Fett, all blasted up, got jetpacks, helmet. I'm like, oh my God, I get a blaster too? And the guy behind the camera's like, I get on set, in comes this blue-looking character that looks like the character I thought I was gonna be. I'm like, wait, is that meant to be me? I thought that was me. They're like, no, this is you. Hand me this little jumpsuit. It's like, what is this? I got the short end of the stick on the costuming department.
Was it the costume you're wearing making you screech like this? I mean...
I know. I watched that out backstage. I'm like, oh my God, get him, Dad, get him. I'm like, you could tell I had no chest on my hair back then. Or hair on my chest. Did I say chest on my hair?
That's why you're not playing Boba Fett, because you keep forgetting the lines. You can't afford it.
Yeah, but Daniel,
my head
I think if they calculate it though, you're probably playing all of the different duplicates all in the cloning facility there. You might have gotten more screen time.
Yeah,
that's true.
I had to stand in 76 different positions. So all those clones, it looked like you could just digitally put them all in a line, and they're all good. No, I had to sit in every single one of those things. When they were going through, Obi-Wan and Tom, we are coming through the cloning, it's only like a second that it's like poof, poof, right? That took 2 14-hour days. Right? You guys like, what? I'm like, yeah, dude, a lot of work went into this movie, and then nothing barely came out of it. It's like a hopper scene.
So why did they employ you then if you keep taking so much time over these scenes?
I was cheap. I was the cheapest.
Oh, I see. You're the cheapest.
I didn't get the same as Peter, you know? He
Yeah.
got a nice contract, it sounds like. It was just like, hey, you want to be in the movie? I'm like, uh-huh. So you got a job.
Yeah.
We'll feed you.
That is the one. That is the one excitement when you hear that you've got the job, and they said, Jeremy, will I say thanks? And that's one of the great lifts, and you go, oh, I feel fantastic. It doesn't last for long, but it is an exciting time when you get a part.
Yeah. It's been a while. I've almost forgotten that feeling, Jeremy.
Really. Don't feel sorry for him.
I'm just lazy. That's the truth.
Just don't feel sorry for him, because he's going to work this up until we go, and then he's going to say, they should have voted for me. I'm the next Boba Fett, and they go, oh, shut up.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Let's do this question.
So Daniel, this question is for you. So most of us know that there will be a Boba Fett movie coming out in a few years. Do you think that you will have the role or a voiceover, or any part in the movie?
I wish that something comes by. But I think with me in Star Wars, I was very, very blessed at a young age where I never realized what I was given. Now growing up, I'm almost 29, I've been able to sit back and realize Star Wars was really grateful to me. It was a blessing. But if I didn't get the chance to play this character again, then in my heart, I feel like I've already accomplished more than I thought growing up I would have accomplished. And if someone else gets to enjoy this life like me and Jeremy have, then so be it. I would be more than happy to have someone else to join it. But yeah, I would love to play the character in a heartbeat, you know? Especially that I have good old Jeremy's approval, you know? That made me feel really good. It's like my head just grew a little bigger, and it's already got a big forehead. Look at that thing.
All right. Do we have other questions here? Do we want to do a lightning round? We're just going to pop them
Okay.
out real quick.
I don't know how familiar you guys are with the old extended universe stuff, but was it disappointing at all to you guys to have all of that just thrown out the window? I mean, there's really interesting stuff with Boba Fett having a daughter who helps beat Han Solo's son. Like, it's really crazy stuff.
Me and Jeremy actually are both big collectors of anything to do, especially Boba Fett. If you see our archives, we collect anything and everything, and most of the time, like, someone will bring you up a comic or something or a book, So you have nothing but free time on the plane, so you usually scroll through them and look at them and read them. But you got to remember that I think when I walked into the world, I didn't realize that there was another side of the business, that fans actually started creating stories and making them up. And in my heart, those stories, are just as powerful as the ones that are actually on set or on filmed. The only problem is that when it comes to Lucasfilm, if they open those letters or if they actually read some of them and go through them, and then someone has the same kind of idea, then it can become a legal battle to where, well, I wrote that in a scene, and then I sent it to you, and you guys read it, and now you guys have made it, and now I got nothing out of it. So, yeah, it's just a weird situation, But I think anyone who loves this movie enough to be able to create their own story, I love them. And Jeremy does too.
Out of all of the characters in Star Wars, who do you think has the most defining role out of the whole thing?
The most defining role of Star Wars? You mean as far as
The
like
most important person in the whole entire thing.
the most important character in Star
Yoda.
Wars?
Has to be Yoda because he's the center of the council, He's also a weird-looking green thing that just flies around and slips around.
Han Solo.
Because he's good-looking?
No, not because he's good looking. Maybe a little bit, but I just think he's class. There really is. Great character. He's adventure.
Who shot first?
Boba Fett.
And on that note, that's going to wrap it up for us. We're out of time. Jeremy Bullock, Daniel Logan,
Thank you guys
very much for coming out again.
Welcome to Planet Comicon 2016. Is everybody having a good time? All right, well, I want to welcome our guest. Some of you know him from his movie roles like Stand and Deliver and the TV show Miami Vice, but probably everybody knows him from his most famous role as Admiral Adama in Battlestar Galactica. Let's welcome Edward James Olmos.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? Good? It's great to be back in Kansas. I can go get my barbecue. Going to Jake's. Come on, Brian. Union Station. Give me a break. Got to go there today. So listen, this is the game rule today. It's just us. No one's going to be asking me questions from up here. It wastes too much time. I'd rather talk with you guys. So anybody has any questions, please work your way over to the microphone and start your way over there. Meanwhile, I'll stand up here and just look beautiful. I'm 70, but I know I look good, okay? All right. All right. But I am 70. I'm old. No, you're not. No, that's a new 40. Ladies and gentlemen, number one, up to bat right now, the man who can do it. There you are. What's your name?
Joel, what do you feel like you learned from the character of Amidala?
Oh, boy, what did I learn? I learned so much from this show, I can't even tell you guys. I don't think there's a show that I've done that has used television better. And I've done some really good shows. I mean, I've done... Well, where do we start? We could start with Miami Vice, which was a huge, huge show in the 80s, you know. NYPD Blue Hill Street, The West Wing, which is a brilliant show. Brilliant. And had great writing, as did all the shows that I've just mentioned. But nothing put it into perspective of the usage of television and what this show did. Now, how many of us have not seen Battlestar Galactica? Raise your hand. Please be honest. Okay, there's 3 of us. No, there's at least about 10 of us in here. 10 of us. And 3 of them are under the age of 12, so I'm glad you didn't see it, man. Not yet. Wait till you're 15, because it gets pretty intense. No, you know why? It came upon me just recently. It came upon me that if there was a nuclear holocaust, could be. You know that as well as I do. And only a section of the planet was left alive. Those that saw this program would live. I'm being as honest as I can be. Why? Because you've already gone through the experience of what it feels like to lose every single person and thing that you love. And you still continue to move forward. And it was so hard. You got to remember, the original was phenomenal. The reimagining of it that Ron Moore did was monumental. It became something that to this day is along with Blade Runner, it's right there. Matter of fact, for all of you that really want to understand this show, that got to the end of the show, the next time you go through it and you reboot it and you go through again, when you get to the end, this is a spoiler, so all you 12 people that didn't see the show, you're going to get a real big spoiler, but that's your life. I don't know what the hell you're doing here anyway. Should put if you did not see the show, do not come in. But at the end, whenever you get done watching this show and you see the very last section, you know what happens. Head Baltar and Head 6 are walking down Times Square, and Head 6 says to Baltar, "This has happened before. It's going to happen again." And Baltar says, "I don't think so. I think humanity has learned its lesson." And then all you do is you see them walk away. The year is 2008. When it goes to black, just stick in Blade Runner. Boom! And it's 2019, and a direct descendant of Adama is there as Gaff. A little bit younger. Go ahead.
I was just wondering what it was like to both act and direct in Walkout.
Oh, boy. I enjoyed it. I've done this before, thank the Lord. I did, in matter of fact, in Miami Vice, I actually started directing myself. And I did it in theater, but not like, television's a little bit different. And so is film. I did American Me. Anybody see American Me? 4 of us, okay. For those of you that haven't seen American Me, do not watch it. There's no reason under the sun for you to watch it. Because the people who know about American Me have watched it and they use it, okay? It's like Stand and Deliver. How many of you have seen Stand and Deliver? Raise your hand. All right. That movie, Stand and Deliver, is the single most viewed film of any film ever made and passed through the theaters here in this country, ever. More than Star Wars, Star Trek, Indiana Jones, E.T., you name it, Avatar. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people saw that movie, those movies. But they can't compare or compete. Stand and Deliver has been seen more than Gone with the Wind. And that has been seen a lot. But there's no comparison, because how many teachers are in here? Okay, how many of you teachers use Stand and Deliver every year? There you go, there's at least 3 of us. Tens of thousands of teachers use that film like they use Catcher in the Rye. You know, you have to read it. It's a mandatory read in all public schools of America. Well, this is the same thing. They use that movie like they use literature. And the reason is what it does. It inspires you. The power and strength of this medium is unbelievable. So I started directing myself in Miami Vice. I ended up directing myself in American Me. I ended up directing myself in Walkout. What a movie that was. Not too many people ever saw that movie. We did it for HBO. Tremendous piece of factual truth that we got to place on film. And then, of course, we did Battlestar Galactica. I did quite a bit of directing on Battlestar Galactica. Matter of fact, one of the funniest shows, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. They wanted to do a comedy. Do you believe that? We got this note from the network. You got to make it funnier. Sure. That's what we need. Humor in space. Annihilation of the entire population. We're going to laugh. Do you believe they gave us that note? So they were really smart. And so Ron Moore and David Icke and all the writers got together and they said, how in the world do you do this and go comedy? And you had to be very careful. So I said, I don't know how you're going to write it, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to direct it. Because unless you really know what's going on here, and you have the aesthetic understanding of what the values are that have been projected in the last 8 shows, because this was the 9th show, you better have someone that really understands what's going on. I said, I'll direct it. And they said, okay, you direct it. So I did it, and boy, talk about funny. And never broke context to the situation that we were in. That's when Ellen came to be, remember? I bring her back, and she sees, the XO, Colonel Ty, it's his wife, comes back, and then she's the one who puts, now there's too many kids in the room. Remember the dinner scene? Hysterical, because I never told my son, Apollo, I never told him, Bamber never knew that she was going to do what she did. I'm serious. He just went, he started looking around because I told her, I put a camera underneath the table. And then I said to her, just touch him. Okay. And so she did. And I'm not going to say any more than that. If you don't remember, there's a lot of humor in that show, but it was really, really, really very hardcore, very difficult, and it was situation. We weren't laughing at the jokes. We were laughing at the situation. It was just so overwhelming. So yeah, I have directed quite a bit of things. Thank you. Go ahead.
I would like to know who is the actor that you most enjoyed working with?
In career or in
In your
Battlestar?
career.
Oh boy. It's like asking me which one of my 6 kids do I love. Come on, man. You're going to start on that one. Oh boy. No, I've been very fortunate. I've worked with a lot of really wonderful human beings. Good people that happen to be very good actors too, but they're really good people. I go for the good people off camera more than I do with the great actors that are on camera, but wouldn't go to a dogfight with them. And I don't go to dogfights. But basically, I've met a lot of people, and I've been very fortunate, and there's still a long way to go. But I can tell you this: working with human beings in any art form or any way, the only thing you can really get out of it is what relationship you have with the individual while you're doing the work that you're doing, and that's the key. So it's not like a scene might take 3 minutes, 5 minutes. You're there for 12 hours. You might shoot it 5 times. Okay, so for 20 minutes you're working, but the rest of the time you're just hanging out, standing there. So you really have to have a rapport with the people involved. Yes.
Any advice for aspiring actors?
Yes, big one. Are you ready? The only people I know that don't make it are the ones who quit. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, making it, does it mean rich and famous? I don't know. Making it is being the best that you can be at what it is that you're trying to do. Whether you're known for it or not known for it, whether you get rich or you don't get rich, that's a whole different issue. But you can be the best that you can be at whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's when you've made it. I'm good. I'm really good at what I do, okay? Am I the best in the world? No. Am I the best that I can be? Yes. The best that I can be. And that's the key. And how do you get that way? Discipline. To do the things you love to do when you don't feel like doing them. Try it sometime. It's hard. Go ahead. You're welcome. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi. I wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about how it was to work with Ron Moore.
What's to work with who?
Yeah, Ron Moore.
Oh, God. That was a dream, man. Ron was a dream, because when they asked me to do, when they asked me, would you, they want you for Battlestar. They're making you an offer. I said, what? Battlestar. I said, I'm sorry. The TV show. Yeah, I said, I never saw it. I was doing theater. 8 shows a week for almost 4 years. It was a play called Zoot Suit that I did on Broadway, and I made a movie out of it later. And so I was in 1978 when we started. We started in February of 1978. February 14th is when we started shooting. Started doing the play. So this is before Battlestar even started being shown. So all through when they were being shown, I was watching. I was doing my play, and I was not watching television. That being said, so when they said this, but I knew that the show was a spin-off of a spin-off. It's a spin-off off of, Star Trek. There was a spin-off of Star Wars, and so this was another kind of concept of that kind of opera that they were doing then. So I said, Jesus, I already did I did Blade Runner. That's it. I've done my sci-fi. It's enough. It was really well done. I really appreciate it. I've touched that. I've done it. So I said no. And they had asked me before this if I would be involved with Star Trek. They wanted me to be the captain. And so I said no to that because I was doing other work. And so, thank you very much. So I said no to Battlestar. They go, I think you should read it. I said, what? It's my agency. They never say that. They never read anything. I guess they do, but they had never said that to me. You should read it. I said, oh, okay, all right, I will. Let's see where you guys are at. Here we go. So I read it. Ron Moore was beyond my wildest understanding. How he got into the position that he got into, and how he got to the point of being able to do this. Because you got to remember, this is right after 9/11. It's about 13 months, 12 months after that they handed me the project, and so we were all kind of sensitized in a different way. There was something else happening to the planet, but especially here in the United States. So everybody had been touched by that, and it was not something that you could get past. You had to conceivably understand that situation and do something with it, because if not, then you were not understanding your life. Had any kind of understanding of your life, and you experienced the two towers coming down, you know that you were into saying, my Lord, whoa, could never have ever imagined anything like this. And so you had to deal with it. So we were dealing with that kind of stuff when all of a sudden here comes Ron Moore, and he places this piece of material in front of us, and I read it, and in the first, he had a epilogue, and that he put 3 pages actually put that we had to read before we read the script, that defined the manner in which this show was going to be done. And from that moment on, I read those 3 pages, and when I started to read the script, I said, boy, oh boy, this is incredible. And so I said, okay, I want to meet with these guys. So I went in, I met with David Icke and Ron Moore and Michael Reimer, the director of the pilot. And they had offered me the job, because later David Icke said, we were sitting there in the office and we were casting, and somebody said, we need an Edward James Olmos type. And David Icke says, why don't you ask him? What? No, no, we need a guy like him. He turned down Star Trek, and ask him. So they asked me, and of course I read it, and I wanted to meet with them. And when I met with them, the only thing that I said is that the aesthetic and the integrity that we carried off on Blade Runner has to be a part of this. In my contract, that place, there will be no four-eyed, double-lipped creatures and jellyfish-looking kind of animals and things popping out from monsters from outer space. You do one monster, I put it in my contract, you do one monster, I will faint on camera and not get up, and you have to write, he died of a heart attack. I'm out. So they were I got them because, I needed creative control of my understanding. My character, I always create my character, so I needed that kind of an understanding. They gave it to me. They gave me the understanding of no creatures from the Black Lagoon. And it's not that it's not fun to do that and to have those kind of adventures and have monsters, and all this stuff. I got it. It's good. But what happens when there's none of that? That's when all of a sudden the mind has to really move to another level, where you're not fighting anything but yourself. It's really different, and that's what happened, man. This show became the only show to ever be invited to speak at the United Nations in the history of television. It's the only one. How many of you have seen the performance that we did in front of UN? For those of you, there's only about 7 or 8 of us in here. The rest of us that are in here that haven't seen it, just put online, go to YouTube and put, Battlestar Galactica at the United Nations, and see what happened, and see why I believe that this show, 50 years from today, will be worth more than it is today, especially if we haven't had that situation where the whole planet has gotten to a point of where it's, killed itself. Because that's all it was. It was really the understanding of our technology comes back to kill us. It's a theme that has been placed across, even Rod Serling used it, and Alfred Hitchcock used it back in the 50s. It's been around for quite a while, but the way that Ron did it was really magnificent. And he took it a lot from Replicants and Blade Runner. It was a lot of that in there, but the Cylons had already been, even before, it was 78. That was before Blade Runner. So there was a combination of understandings that were really moving along well. I got to tell you, as far as I'm concerned, the best usage of television, I was led to understand through the writing of Ron Moore, who I think is a genius. So that's your question? I answered it the long way.
Hi.
Yes, hi.
I was just wondering, because I like the original also.
Me too.
Except for
Once
the
I saw it.
lack of strong women figures. But anyway, I was just wondering, at what point did it stop feeling like you were doing a reboot and start to get a life of its own? Because it definitely has a life of its own.
Yeah, it never was a reboot. It was a reimagination, which is a little bit different. To reboot something, you have to kind of like go with it. You know, we never went with it. I mean, come on. I went to the upfronts when they introduced the program. The upfronts are where you get all your sponsors and all the critics to come and watch the new shows. CBS has their day, NBC has their day, ABC, all of these different, HBO. They all have their days of having thousands of people, sponsors and critics come to see like trailers, highlights of the new shows in the new season, see who wants to partake in this new season, all right? And critics kind of like, they'll watch it and then they'll do a little review on it. And the upfronts, when we went with Battlestar Galactica, the president of sci-fi stood up there at a podium and said, ladies and gentlemen, our new show, Battlestar Galactica. We all came out, we were sitting there, and they showed some of the trailer, and everybody was talking, but I looked out there in the audience. I don't know much about anything. I really don't. When I was in my 20s, I thought I knew a lot. And then in my 30s, I knew a lot. But in my 40s, I kind of didn't know too much because I started to reevaluate and I said, wow, you really have honed yourself into an understanding, but it's going like this. It's not going like this. You know, the older you get, the less you know, because the more your understanding of your own thing of what it is that you're doing. That being said, by the time I'm going to hit my 50s, forget it. I was humbled to the ground. 60s, I went through those and I said, I don't know a damn thing. That being said, now I'm in my 70s. And all I can tell you is that, man, it doesn't get any easier. You realize that there's so much to do and so much to understand. That being said, my instinct of what the reboot was, or what this whole situation was that what he did, what has been done with this show, has augmented the understanding of humanity. He has used it to a level that's been, I've never known anybody to get that much power off of a television show, where you can watch it and you can actually have to deal with right to choose, right to life, waterboarding. How about suicide bombers? How about having to figure out and having to deal with the fact that the humans were the suicide bombers and that you understood why they were doing it? And today you watch suicide bombers and you have to look at them after watching our show and go, shit, they got a reason for doing that. I don't dig it. You know, it's not my thing, but man, something is really happening. These people are not doing that because they want to just commit suicide and blow everybody up. Something is leading them to that level. And then and so when we went to the UN, it went crazy. The UN went nuts. They had us there for 3 hours. You know, so I got to tell you, as far as the rebooting of this, unbelievable. Because it became a totally different perspective on the understanding of what we were facing. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. What is your favorite role that you have played?
That's another one of those, I got 6 kids, which ones do you like the most? I like those questions, though. I'm going to tell you something. You've probably never, did you see Beverly Hills Chihuahua?
No, I have not.
You should have seen that one. Golly. I mean, I'm so sad. I was in that. I was a Doberman Pinscher, Diablo. I love that one. Come on. I've done quite a few shows, honey, and I got to tell you, I've been very privileged to be able to work in my business and do what I've done, especially with a face like mine. I do not look like Tom Cruise or Kevin Costner the way he used to look. Why did I have to go that way? No, I've always looked like this, okay? So, I mean, I'm actually better looking now than I was when I was in my 20s. People have gotten used to it. Before they used to say, whoa, you should be a lawyer or, get into, banking. Don't be in front of a camera, man. You just, on the big screen. I had the courage to go in front of the put myself on a 40-foot screen, close up. Everybody goes, whoa, that's a face to remember. Me and Jack Palance. We're good. But that's it. I've been so lucky because Stand and Deliver, Battlestar Galactica, Adama, Lieutenant Castillo, Miami Vice, American Me, Santana, the father of Selena. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story and a beautiful. Those are characters that I can't even tell you. What a privilege. I've lived a very privileged life. Thank you for asking me, darling.
Evening.
Hi.
You've already touched on part of my question. Battlestar Galactica came out right after 9/11, and the show didn't shy away from many of the issues that we were dealing with. I was wondering how, in the moment when it was happening, did you all as a cast, have the conversations about, we're doing this interrogation scene, it's gonna, have an impact on people because of what's happening? I mean, you really did hit a lot of politically sensitive moments.
No, we didn't. We never had those kind of conversations. We did have conversations about the situation we were in. Everybody was so well prepared. And we had kids on this show who had never done a television show. Many. It was their first time up. Boomer had never done a television show. Grace Parks. And quite a few of the kids this was their first time on really performing in a show. And they had no idea. They thought, a lot of them thought they were just going to be used, a little here, a little there, Candace, McClure, who did Duella, she thought she was just, and all of a sudden they're holding the screen and telling the story through their point of view, and it's phenomenal. No, what we did do is we did do our homework. Everybody came to work prepared. There was never a time when you ran into an artist, anyone, even the ones who were visiting, like there for only one show, that weren't prepared to be in front of camera. It was not about you as an actor standing there saying lines. It was about the situation that we found ourselves inside of, and we all knew what it was. Do you remember 33?
Yeah.
That was the first episode. The very first episode we did after the pilot was 33, episode number 1. Killed me. That show killed everybody on the show. Everybody that we didn't. I brought in a sleep deprivation scientist, doctor from the university to come in and explain to us what would happen if that every 33 minutes we had to jump for our lives. For 5 days. That's when the movie starts. Movie starts on the 5th day of doing this. Try to wake up every damn half hour and jump and make the ship and start fighting for your life. Not bad for 24 hours. Okay? Try 48 hours of that shit. 36? The doctor said, no, you're verging on collapse. Because you could only sleep for about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Every 33 minutes, after you jumped and you got the ships back in order and you could sleep for about 10 minutes, boom, you're up and you're fighting. And you come to full fight. You don't come to, what's happening? No. Boom, your life. You're going to die. So and when we got into that, man, on the 5th day of that, everybody that came to work that first day of work came destroyed. You look at that program. People didn't, a lot of method acting going on in this program, okay? A lot of it. So you had a lot of kids who were like staying up late and not sleeping the day before, but we had 8 days of shooting. So how do you pace yourself, you know? It was really difficult, and the kids were like nodding out. You see them in between the shots, you're sitting at the thing. All you had to do is put them out in front of the camera. It's all real. They were like completely gone, all of us. And my nervous system was just completely shot, man. That is the key to understanding the situation. And that's where it started. After that, I said, holy crap, this is the first episode. What's the second one going to be like? And sure enough, what was it? Water. About water. And boom, they blast all of our water. Somebody, does something, and pretty soon we have all of our water is gone. And you have to deal with that one after jumping around. It was crazy. What a great show. I love this show. I can't tell you enough about it. Go ahead.
Was there any specific scene during Stand and Deliver that had emotionally charged you and has stayed with you?
Oh, man, that movie, that's like what we're talking about. I mean, American Me's this way, Selena's this way, Mi Familia's this way. Stand and Deliver is like, oh my God, what a story. What a story. Most of you guys saw it. Those who haven't seen it, man, do yourself the biggest favor you could ever do. Go home and watch Stand and Deliver. Because it's a true story. Let me tell you a little bit about how it happened that I got to do this, all right? In 1983, I got from the NAACP Humanitarian of the Year Award from the national organization of the NAACP. Standing right beside me was the Teacher of the Year, Jaime Escalante. He had just, all of his students, 18 students, had passed the advanced placement test at the highest level. They beat Stuyvesant, and they beat all the major thinking schools of the planet in the United States, and they had gained and garnished that accolade of being the smartest kids in math. I mean, look at it. If I want to embarrass everybody, I'd ask them, okay, how many of you took your AP calculus test? But that's not the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part, how many of you passed it? It's really difficult. So that being said, we stood there and I talked to him, and I loved him. He was a Bolivian man, and he had a very thick accent, and he was standing up there. He was very proud and very, very smart, and did not make you feel less than who you were. So you could tell that the man was filled with kindness and integrity. And he was a genius, total genius, and had proven it by getting these kids and motivating these kids to the point of where they could understand. In 2 years, he took them from math 1A, okay, from just regular old mathematics to algebra, geometry, algebra 2, trigonometry, math analysis, and calculus in 2 years. You try it. You try it. Man, you talk about, it's like learning, okay, we're going to teach you Mandarin, and you'll learn it in 2 years. And you're 17 years old, and you got other shit to do. More important than going to school, right? So here's this guy, and I'm standing next to him, and I said hi to him, and the whole thing. He had more newspapers and people across the country were applauding this. This was in June, that this awards show. May is when they did it. Everybody knows that you take your calculus exams and all your AP exams in May. They all count for, especially seniors, they get college credit. So they have to be tested and they have to get through so they can show them in their reports and their, when they go out to try to get into college, boom, here you go. Admission, I've taken this class and this class and this class, and I'm good at this, and this is what I got here. I got a 4.3 or, a 4.8. I don't know how in the hell you get 4.0. But these kids are past 4.0. So he did that. Well, in August, if you remember the story, in August, they accused them of cheating. because they didn't miss enough. And they were Latinos, inner city kids, poverty-stricken area. How in the world could they have done that? This is the hardest test in the world that we give in this country. How could you do this? And they all missed way beyond. Kids were missing 40, 50, half of the multiple choice. The rest of the planet, the rest of the country was missing. These kids missed 13. So they called them cheaters. And that's the great scene. You talk about a great scene that stuck with me for the rest of my life. It's that scene where he looks at Andy Garcia. He was, the ETS people, from Princeton testing service. They had sent an African American and a Latino. He said, remember that scene when he confronts them all and he says to them, man, he goes to the door and he says, when he said, I was right, I wrote it with him. We took 6 days to write the script, okay? The writer and the two producers, director, writer, producer, writer, had brought the story to a level. And then when I read it with Jaime, he said, it's a good story. It's a movie. I said, no. I'm asking you, how do you like the script? He goes, well, it's a movie. I said, okay, that means you're not liking the script. You didn't answer my question. So I said, let's read. So we started reading from page 1, and he said, no, you know what happened? I go, what? And he says, well, when I came off of my heart attack, I got up, and second day, I was supposed to stay in the hospital for a week, and I stayed only 2 days, and I got up, and I went straight to school. And then what happened? Well, and then I made them stand up when I walked in class and get in line like a snake. That was it, man. I just started writing. He just started remembering. I started writing. So when he told me that he went to the testing service and after he had cussed them out for, just being not, believing in his kids, and he turned around and he says to them, man, if I ever catch you outside, he tells Andy Garcia character, if I ever catch you out on the street, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. And he put on his hat and walked out. I said, oh, man, too much. You're a genius, dude. That was one of the scenes that changed my life, man. I got to tell you, when I did that scene, and you could see it, you go back and you watch that movie, you'll see. Anyway, what happened, man, they ended up like in the movie, when this is all facts, I can't even tell you. He sat down with them and he read the letter that they all got, giving them, and he told them, okay, call them up. We're going to tell them we're going to take the test over. He goes, what do you mean take the test over? The kid said, no, we're going to take it. He goes, so they call them up on pay telephone, at the school. And they said, what? They want us to take it tomorrow, 24 hours. I said, what did you do? He goes, I said, okay. That's what I did on camera. And so he did. He got them prepared to take an examination. Now, I don't know about you people, but I know about me. When I take an examination, especially in school or in college, as soon as I get out of that classroom, poof, I never want to think about that shit again. It's over. I did it. I've done it. Took my exam. Whatever I get, that's what I get. That's what I know. But I don't ever want to think about it again. It's done. I take my time. That being said, what happens? Yep. 24 hours to take the hardest exam that the United States of America gives. Harder than the one they gave the first time. You have 24 hours to get it together. The greatest scene in the world, man, is when he brings them into his classroom and he goes, so how are we going to do this? And he looks at them and he's passing. Open to page 1. He's at the beginning of the book. They went through it in one day. The entire course in one day. Now you try that, man. And that's why when the scene when he's standing there listening, when he told me, he said, I was standing there listening to the principal getting the response of the kids' new scores after they all passed. All of them made it, and some made it with even higher scores than they had made it the first time. And he said, I just started to cry a little bit, and I walked out, and I walked down the hall. And I said, oh, man. And when I do that, every single person that's ever seen that movie cries. Especially when you start to see there's a tag on the bottom of the screen as he's walking away. In 1983, 18 students passed the AP Calculus test. 84, 37. 85, 63. 86, 73. 87, 87 kids passed that test. The day that man finished finished teaching before he died. In 1 year, he taught 250 kids to prepare themselves to get ready to take that test. One teacher. That was Jaime Escalante. And may he rest in peace. And God bless that they allowed us to make that movie, because that movie has changed the course of this country and your attitude towards children of color and your attitude towards minority kids and your attitude towards just the ability for kids to really understand themselves if they have passion and they commit. You see it, man. The greatest line he ever did, man. Students will rise to the level of expectation. That's it. Every teacher in this room is going, yes, and they're crying. Every single one of them right here, right now, today, because they know that it's not the students. You know, we keep on saying it's the students, the students, the students. It's a passion from us, the adult, and how you push it forward. And it's hard because, man, by the time they get into high school, we lose them in the third grade. If you're not reading up to a third grade level in the third grade, it's over. You might as well just pack them up and let them go. In the fourth grade, they can't read any better, and they're falling behind. Fifth grade, even more. Sixth grade, by the time they're in ninth, 10th grade, they don't want to be at school anymore. So, man, if your kid is not reading up to the third grade level, when he gets out of the third grade, going into the fourth grade, they're in trouble. Okay, question. Go ahead, Donnie. Sorry about that. That was kind of a long story there.
So my question is there's been a lot of controversy with the end of Battlestar Galactica. Most of us love it, but there's a few people that don't. And I was wondering if there was anything you thought was missing or wanted to be in there or should have been different.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about what was happening. There was a lot of loose ends that were never tied. But you couldn't tie it, man. There was no way of tying all the loose ends. Why would you even want to try, pieces that try to tie up all the loose ends that usually end up failing drastically. And this one didn't. I mean, I think Ron Moore did a very good job. I think the most disturbing situation was that, the Starbuck was an angel, some kind of a spirit that had come back to help them. And that's what you had to get from the fact that, Lee turns around to say, I want to just go climb mountains and all that, and he turns back and she's gone. She went back on the ship with Anders, and they flew into the sun. So that, those kind of things, I loved it. I'm sorry, but I loved it. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm waiting for them to really understand how to go on with the story. And, the story would start off with me by myself living as a hermit inside my log cabin that I built with my own hands, and I'm sitting there and I hear a knock on the door and I open it, and it's the colonel saying, we got a problem. Let's go. Him and I would start off into that world that we were put into, 200,000 years ago. God, we were part of the humanoid structure. Do you believe it? I love it. And what a great idea. Kind of tags in one of the great mythologies of human existence, that we're really from outer space, guys. Okay? Question, go ahead.
What's the big differences for you between making a large character, kind of like Jaime Escalante or like you did in Battlestar, as opposed to smaller character like you would have in Dexter or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dexter, small characters? I think Dexter was, he blew your brains out. I don't know how you guys watch that show. I mean, I never watched it. I never watched that show. The premise was beyond me. I couldn't quite understand how you'd watch a serial killer killing serial killers. And that was supposed to get you off, whoa. The the good guy is really a good guy. But I tell you, and creepy was working with the guy. Michael walks around as Dexter. He doesn't jump in and out in one morning. Hi, how are you? What is go? No, man. Guy's not happy-go-lucky jolly, man. He kind of sticks away from people. 7 years of that? Come on, man. It's got to get to your head somehow, man. I could not live that. I mean, it was too much. That was a hell of a character he created. And Professor Geller is coming over to your house for dinner. You want to have dinner with Geller? Man, that guy was terrible. But you know what was funny? I wouldn't have done this show unless it had the ending that it had. I would never have been on that show and been one of the, the great assassin killers and, serial guys. No. It looked like I was. It looked like I killed all kinds of people, but I wasn't. I was stuck in a refrigerator. Spoiler. I was never there. I'm sorry. But Dexter, Professor, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Robert Gonzalez is the only real S.H.I.E.L.D. on the program, okay? Coulson is not the real deal, all right? I'm the only real S.H.I.E.L.D. That's how come nobody liked me. Why do you think they blew me up? They wanted to make sure they got rid of me, man, big time. That was it. They had to get rid of me. They turned me to stone. They broke my hand. Then the guided missile, boom, blew up the building. They couldn't even pick up dust. Like, oh, they'll bring you back because they can just pick up the dust particle. They couldn't find it. They want to make sure get rid of that guy. No, what they should have done, had they been thinking, is made me the nemesis so that there was always friction. So Coulson was always out there trying to, do his thing to protect humanity and try to help. And then there was some guy always after him from the inside going, it's like Martin Castillo in Miami Vice. He did not like those guys. So, no, those little people that you're talking about, Agent, Gonzalez, and it's like saying, did you see West Wing? You remember that little character I did? Judge Mendoza. Well, all I can tell you is that for me, whether it was one day's work or lead in the show, it didn't really matter. In Blade, did you see Blade Runner? Blade Runner is a movie that I had very little to do in. If you really start to remember, Gaff did very little except make the origami pieces. Little did you know that those origami pieces became like the ultimate understanding of the movie. But even I didn't know at the time that I was doing it. So, thank you. It's hard to do little people. But I'm real good at it. Yes. Edward. Team Edward. She said, look at her shirt. Look at her shirt. But I was young then.
You're still young.
Hey, I'm still young. I'm in my 40s.
Just wanted to know if you still keep in touch with any of the crew from Battlestar Galactica, if you're still friends with anyone.
As much as humanly possible, usually daily. For the last 10 years, almost 10, it's 8 years. It's 2016, we finished in 2008. Yeah, I've kept in contact with them. I see Mary as much as humanly possible. We hang out all the time. Of course, James Callis, Baltar, he lives about 3 minutes from me, and we're together like almost every day, talk every day, and everyone, Katie and Trisha, and the only one that didn't really get, I've only seen her once in the last, twice in the last 8 years, has been Grace Parks, who's been in Hawaii 5-0, so she hasn't been on the mainland. And when she does, she goes back to Canada where she lives, so she doesn't hang out with us that much. But I got a feeling that once her show goes down, I think that she'll probably move over. Well, what, you don't think it's going to finish? What, it's going to go on for 20 years? Gunsmoke? Are you kidding me? Yeah, right. 20 years. That's something even longer than that. No, but yeah, we see each other as much as humanly possible whenever we get a chance. Whenever one person's like going to have one or two of us, we end up inviting everybody to see who could come at that day, and then they start coming over. Truco, myself, got Tomo. I don't even know if you guys know their real names, but Anders and Hilo and my son, Hot Dog, Constanza. He goes with us, and the girls, all the girls come over, Reka and, Candace, and God, what a great group. It was very special, and look, I'm sure Hill Street Blues feels the same way whenever they get together, or NYPD Blue, or ER, or in any of the groups. Right now, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I know they have a wonderful time together whenever they're together, and I'm sure that 20 years from today, they'll still be getting together. That's how it is, sometimes, not always, because, Miami Vice, I didn't see the kids for 30 years. And finally, I got to see them. It was quite an interesting time. I loved it. Oh, what, you tell me I'm off? What's that? He's going, wow, what a friendly guy. Remind me to come back many times. Get thrown off the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been one of the most intimate and one of the most beautiful experiences I've had at any Comic-Con. I treasure this moment. I will forever remember the feelings that I have here. Kansas City, you are immensely popular in my heart. I love you guys for being here with me. If you want to come over and ask me more questions, you don't have to buy a damn thing. Just walk over there and get in line and just talk to me. Many of you already did that, because come over and go, hi, I just wanted to meet you. Okay, well, that's what I came for. I just wanted to meet you. It's the only reason I came. And so I say to all of you, I love you with all my heart. So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.